Hello, fellow rosarians. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to talk about how to overwinter your potted plants, specifically the roses that we have received late in the season. I've done a video for you on how to winter over your potted plants that have been out year-round and you plan on keeping them in those same pots for next year. So if you're thinking about your winterization for your larger potted plants, check that video and I'll link it above so that you can check in on that. You're going to cuddle those pots together and insulate them as best you can. So for these plants that we are going to be taking inside, and when I say inside, your first choice would be a shed, a garage. The last choice would be inside your home where you have maybe you close the vents, but we'll talk more about that in a second. Let's talk about which plants we're choosing to bring in. When I make the decision to bring a plant inside because I missed my frost dates, so I'm going to go ahead and put up the frost dates here for you. If you miss your frost date, that means that your plant will not have enough time to establish those roots before the ground could start freezing. So you want to make sure that you get your plants in the ground by that point. I know in my case, my David Austin roses look pretty good and they look like they could withstand being out in the elements. I just don't want to take that risk because I missed the frost date. And if we picture that it's very common during the winter that we're going to lose a couple of inches of growth and it's going to be normal winter dieback, look at your rose and say, do I want to lose a couple of inches off of this, or should I be safer and bring it inside? So in this case, what I'm looking at, let's say if I didn't miss my frost date, a rose that I'm looking at to decide, can it go in the ground? I'm looking to see, can it withstand the elements? If I had freezing rain and heavy snow sitting on this, am I worried about these canes snapping under the weight of the elements? I'm worried about that for this plant. So it's just better for me in that case to bring it in. So we're going to bring in our plants if we miss our frost date. If we think that they are too tiny to withstand the elements. So the other thing, so I'm not sure if you can see my plant station here where I've been getting everybody ready that's going to be going in. I will show you, let's go through a couple that I will be cuddling up with my plants outside. They're too big, they have strengthened up. This climber, this little beauty, is from my good friends at Irreverence for Roses. And when I first got it, I certainly could have put it in the ground. Now, you know I've missed my frost date, but I'm not going to bring this one into the garage because it's going to overwinter outside fine. It's a climber. So what I'm going to do for this climber is I'm going to get larger stakes. I've got 4-foot and 6-foot stakes. I'm going to stake this up and it's going to go into my section where we're cuddling everybody up for the winter. So this is Jolie. Although she has a lot of height on her, I'm going to bring her in just merely because of that freezing rain and snow on these canes. It's just better safe than sorry. So let me go ahead real quick and load up my rack and show you everything that's going inside, and then we'll talk about how to take care of them. So we're here in the garage now. We talked about which plants we are choosing to overwinter. We now need to think about where we're going to overwinter. And for me, I'm choosing an unheated garage. You could choose an unheated shed. You could choose a room in your house and close the vents so that it's not receiving any kind of heating. You really want these plants to slow down and be in a cool space, hopefully in the 40s, 30s, so that they're going to be able to go dormant. So if you were using, I have overwintered in a unheated room and they were fine. The problem with bringing them inside is because it's a little bit warmer in there than you're going to find in your sheds or your garage, I struggled with pests. So you're going to have flying gnats, insects, and then you're going to have to be trying to combat that while keeping them moist, inevitably they're going to be putting on growth while they're in a window in that room. So for me, I've chosen my garage. When we think about the light situation, they're already going to be going dormant because of if you have natural light in the room that you're in, they're going to be getting shorter days than they're used to during the spring and summer and early fall. So they're going to start to go dormant. And when you know that they're going dormant, I'm going to pop up a picture here of a rose that my friend sent me and said, what's going on with this? It's been so healthy. This is a dormant rose, a rose that is yellowing leaves, and that tells us during the fall that it's ready to go dormant. If this was happening during spring and summer, I would say lift that plant out of the ground. I think it's getting too much water. But because we know we're watching all of the leaves change, this is just the rose's way of signaling that it is going dormant. So we're going to plan on something similar happening to our plants here. They may lose all of their leaves and drop them, and that's okay. So for the light situation, I'm not putting a grow light on these. I just want them to go dormant. For water, I'm going to be using my water meter and checking to ensure that once a month, maybe even every 3 weeks, I'm giving them a little drink. And the great thing about having them on a rolling rack is that I can take them outside for 1 second, get them watered. And water actually will help to insulate the roots. And to me, it's just crazy thinking about that because I'm always worried about freezing the plant's roots, but it actually warms them up and provides a little bit of insulation, but you don't want to overwater them during the winter. So, every 3 to 4 weeks, go ahead and give them enough water that it is saturating it through the pot. And then they'll empty the excess. So that's what we're doing with the water. We're not using heat because we don't want them to put on growth. We want them to go to sleep. So for this rack, I got a rolling rack and I bought the Seville brand. So with the supply chain issue right now, if this is something that you're interested in, make sure that you get your orders in so that you can get it as soon as possible. I put my order in at SevilleClassics.com and it ended up taking 2.5 weeks. It might have even taken 3 weeks to get to me. And I was, feeling nervous and I was thinking about just going to my local box store, but I really wanted something that already had the wheels on it, the casters, so that I could move it around. And I wanted something that was 24 inches by 48 by 72. In the event that you're interested in going to Seville Classics, you'll see that they sell them on Amazon and from the box stores, but they're a little bit more expensive. If you go to the website directly, they gave me a coupon that you can try to use. Hopefully that will be active. There's free shipping on this, so I highly recommend it. Most of the metal table that I have, I've got organization racks. They're all this brand. It really stands up, so I highly recommend it. So let's talk real quick about, in case this is the only video that you see of mine, I'm going to be doing another one in the spring to share with you how do we harden these off. How do we bring them outside after we are past our frost date? You're going to wait until the temperatures are above, I would say, 60 degrees. And then you're going to harden them. And what that means is you're going to wheel it on a cart. Is amazing and quick and easy. So wheel them out for a half hour and you're taking them to a shady or dappled light location, not full sun. And so you're going to take them out for 30 minutes, and then the next day, if they all, didn't show any signs of shock, a little bit longer until they're eventually outside in that dappled shade situation for the whole day. Then what you do is if you already have picked a site and say it's full sun, now you're going to harden it in from that shady, dappled sun location to the full sun until it can be in the full sun. So it just takes a little bit of time and planning, but that makes sure that your plants can transition without going through shock. So I hope this video is helpful, that you can see that you can overwinter your plants inside. Get yourself a rack if you have a lot of plants like I do. And in this case, I haven't even counted to see how many I have. This actually came as a 5 rack, and you can space them out at whatever height that you want. And I've changed it just to 4 so that I can have more height on the bottom. I've got my flats at the top where I'm propagating ivy, and I will be, in all likelihood, everything that I'm propagating here will stay on the heat now through the spring. So these are the only plants that I will be wintering over through the winter. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.